Now we're arriving at a more central source and origin of our 248, which is 2 and 10. Actually, the very first letter of the Torah is 2, is the big bet of Breshit, that the world begins, creation begins with simply 2. The fifth letter of the Torah is Yud, is 10, the Yud of Breshit. When you put those 2 letters together, this is the first observation that we'll make. So they form together a very simple word, a 2-letter word, which is the word be. Be means in me, or with me. Just as in relation to any other word or concept, in order to gain its deep meaning in the Torah, one looks for the first time that it appeared in the Torah. For instance, in the 5 books of Moses, this word be, this very simple 2-letter word be, appears 18 times. In all of the Tanakh, in all of the Bible, it appears 159 times. In order to understand the essential meaning of the word, so we look wherever does it appear, whether it's this 2-letter bet Yud, which has now become the origin of 248, where does it appear in the Torah for the first time. So the first time is actually in the continuation of what we were studying before, Akidat Yitzchak, the binding of Yitzchak. But after, just right after, Hashem calls Abraham twice by name, Abraham, which equals B'Tzedem Elokim, the 2 levels of B'Tzedem Elokim. Then, and Abraham is now, he stood the test. So the continuation is, Hashem says, Bi Nishbati Me'um Hashem. I have sworn in myself, in my essence, says Hashem, that because you did not spare your son from me, I am now going to bless you and your son with infinite blessing forever and ever. And just to bless the Jewish people forever and ever. And also it implies to give the land of Israel to the Jewish people forever and ever, as we'll see how this is alluded to. And so this is the first time that this word be appears. So first of all, it appears just after Abraham has come to the epitome of this service of Hashem, and his name has been repeated twice. And God is now referring to himself. Hashem is saying, be, in me, with me, in my very essence, atzmut, nishbati me'um Hashem. If you just take that phrase, be nishbati me'um Hashem, and calculate the value of those 4 words, be nishbati me'um Hashem, so you'll see that they equal exactly 961. The number that we just spoke of before, 31 squared, which is B'Tzedem Elokim written in full, which is Abraham, Sarah, Yitzchak, the whole family, all together. So that's being Nishbati Me'um Hashem. We just look at this word Nishbati, to swear, and I've sworn in myself, so it has Shabbat in it. The 3 letters Shabbat appear in that word Nishbati. And it has another 3 letters which spell Ayin, I, the I. In the Zohar it says that Shabbat itself is the secret of the I. Because the Shin has 3 heads to it, which correspond to the 3 colors around the pupil of the eye, which correspond to the 3 patriarchs. And the pupil is black, that's called the Bat Ayin, the daughter of the eye, which is the 2 letters Bat of Shabbat, which corresponds to David, the spiritual source of King David, the 4th leg of the divine chariot. So all of Shabbat has to do with vision. Our service throughout the week is to understand, to learn, to understand reality, to try to heal difficult to hear God within our experience. But when it comes Shabbat, that's the day of the Nistat Rabbi Malka. You can actually see everything, see within it. That's the difference between Shabbat and the days of the week, the six days of the week, of the work week. So that's Nishpati. That word Nishpati now, altogether, ayin, each component, as we've divided into two components, the word I and the word Shabbat, each one of them is a multiple of 26, which is Hashem's essential name. Ayin is 5 times 26, and Shabbat is 27 times 26. Together it's 32 times 26. Nishbati, which is Lev. 32 is the heart. It's the heart of God. The heart of the essential name of God. Nishbati, that's B, that's in me. B Nishbati. But that heart, that Lev, 32 times 26, exactly equals Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. We just now said that this vow is the vow for the Jewish people to be born and created and exist and multiply. And it's also, together with that, the union, which is like a marital union of the Jewish people to the Promised Land. That's the B, Nishbati, Moshe. In any event, this is the first time, as we said before, that the word B appears. And it relates directly to what we've been discussing. There's another very beautiful time that it appears in relation to Hashem. Almost all of the times in the Torah, in the whole Tanakh, that the word B appears, it's not Hashem speaking. There are several times that it is Hashem speaking. One, maybe the other most important time is in Psalms. In Psalm 91 towards the end, it's a psalm that we read many, many times in our prayers. It says, Ki vi chashak na'avatei, asagdeo ki adashmi, yikra'eni ve'eneo, imo anochi v'tzara. Referring to a tzaddik, a true believer and follower of the Torah, a believer in God and follower of the Torah. It says, he has passion in me. Because he has passion in me, in my very essence, being once more means life, the very inner heart and essence, heart means inner essence of God. And that's where all of his passion is. For that reason, I will always be at his side and save him, redeem him. I will uplift him and make him great, because he knows my name. When he will call out to me, I will answer him. If he will be in trouble, I will be there together with him at his side. And it's all because of Bi Chashak. That all of his passion is in me. Clearly the first soul on earth with all of his passion was to God, to know his name, to connect to him, to find him in reality. God, we're talking Chassidut, it's like playing a gigantic universal hide and seek again. And the first soul that responded to God's desire to search for him until he found him was clearly Abraham Avinu. So that is the first and the primary soul of whom this verse relates to. Ki bi chashak v'avateh, and so on. So all of his passion is in me. If we look at that phrase, Bi Chashak, so we see the word Bi is 12, equals 12. Obviously we should have in mind that the 12, which is 2 and 10, also is alluding to the fact that there will be 12 tribes that will be born from Abraham's grandson, which is the whole Jewish people, based upon 12 tribes. That corresponds to all of the other 12s in reality, like the 12 months of the year and so forth. In his book, in his classic book, Sefer Yetzirah, 12 is perhaps the most central number. How all different phenomena of reality relate to 12. But here 12 is now a reflection of Bi Chashak. So the word is Bi in me, and the verb that is used is Chashak, Chet Shin Kuf, which is passion. That word Chashak, also to translate that into a number, is 408. So we might ask and calculate, how does that relate to B, to 12? Maybe it's a multiple of 12. So in fact it is. It's 34 times 12. 34 is Tov, 2 times, but it's also a Fibonacci number, 34. But we'll see it even more in the continuation. Meaning that the word Chashak is 34 times B. Kivi Chashak. Together is 35 altogether. Times B. It's 1 times 12 and another 34 times. There is a most important pair of words in Hebrew. Another very simple 2-letter word that equals 12, and a companion word that equals 408, which is 34 times 4. And those words are Zeh and Zot, the male and female way of saying this is. The unique level of the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. That all the prophets, with the exception of Moshe Rabbeinu, were just able to see things see their prophetic vision through what's referred to as the translucent pain. And they express that with the word so says God, ko. That only Moshe Rabbeinu saw his prophetic visions through the transparent pain, and that is expressed by saying, this is it, this is the word of Hashem. But if the noun is feminine, then instead of Zeh, you say Zot, like Zot HaTorah, Asher Tzivah Moshe. It's much more for a feminine noun, the seeing it and identifying it directly is Zot, which is 408, and for a male, a masculine noun, it's Zeh, which is 12. When you put those two numbers together, which is 1 times 12, means the female is 34 times the male. Tov, like it says, Matzah Isha, Matzah Tov. Even the word Isha herself is the diamond form of the number Tov. And Tov times Zeh equals Zot. When they go together, it's 420, which is one of the most perfect unions in the Torah. It's Yaakov Rachel, Jacob and Rachel, together are Zeh and Zot. So we have to understand a few things. We have to understand the relation between B, which is 2 and 10, and Zeh is not 2 and 10, Zeh is 7 and 5. They both equal 12, but if we go back to our function of F-A-N, so obviously the result will not be the same. For 2 and 10, it's 248. It's calculated for Zeh, which is 7 and 5. 7 squared is 49, 5 squared is 25, and then 7 plus 5, which is 12 squared, is 1 small 144. Together is 218, 30 less than 248. So it's not the same in the function, but the simple value is the same. There must be some way to understand the relation between these two words. The way is based on one of the one of the most important transformations of letters in the Torah, which is called Achdi. We've always said that 248 is where all of one's consciousness, Da'at, to be concentrated upon and connected to. In Kabbalah Da'at, there's a certain transformation of letters which corresponds to Da'at, to the essence of consciousness, which is to divide the alphabet, the 22 letters of the alphabet, into two equal sections of 11 letters, and then to pair them in a reflective way. The Aleph goes together with the Chaf, and the Bet with the Yud, and the Gimel with the Tet, and the Dalet with the Chet, and the Hey with the Zayin. And then the Vav remains alone. Then to do the same thing on the second of the further side of the Aleph Bet, and then you have a Pei that remains at the end, and then those two pair together. In any event, whenever there's such transformation, scheme of transformations, since there are 22 letters, there are 11 pairs of letters. It corresponds within that particular power, that Sfirah that we were considering the Sfirah of Da'at, corresponds to the Sfirot, the 11 Sfirot, counting both Keter and Da'at of that particular level. So in our case, B, this word B that we're discussing, is the Chokhmah, the wisdom of Da'at. But the Zeh is the Chesed of Da'at, which is right under it. And the B is Elokei. In consciousness, in pure consciousness, B is called Elokei Abraham, the God of Abraham, the divinity of Abraham. Bi nishbati, bi chashak, v'avatei. Now, Zeh is actually the essence of his soul root. It's what in pure consciousness, the chesed of that. Zeh hadavar, asher tzivah Hashem. That's also where Moshe Rabbeinu is taking his level of prophecy from. Let's go back a second to our 4-100-144. Let's treat these three numbers as a quadratic progression. How do we do this? By taking finite differences. This is called discrete calculus. From such a process, Newton invented what's called calculus. The difference between 4 and 100 is 96. The difference between 100 and 144 is 44. The base, which is the difference of the differences, is minus 52. Meaning that there are going to be another 2 positive numbers, and only another 2 positive numbers in this whole series. And after 144, will come a number 136. And after 136 will come a number 76. And that's all. All more numbers to the right or to the left in this progression will all be negative numbers to infinity. But this progression of 4, 100, 144 has another 2 positive numbers to it, and that's all. So if we now take these 5 positive numbers and add them together, we'll see that they come to 460. 460 can be divided by 5, so we can divide it in average value. If we divide the 460 by 5, it's 92. 92 has to do with another very important phenomenon in nature, in the very characteristic of nature. Elementary particles are the constituents of modern physics, quantum mechanics. But chemistry, which is one level above, deals with elements. In the natural world, there are exactly 92 elements in the periodic table of elements. So we see here a very, very beautiful relationship between the way we have derived our 248 elementary particles. The form of the derivation gives rise in this very, very beautiful way also to number 92, which are the 92 which physically correspond to the 92 elements of chemistry, 92 different atomic forms. Physics is now all subatomic. So from atom and molecule up, so it becomes already chemicals and chemical compounds and so forth. Right, now let's go back a moment to our word Zeh. B and Zeh are the Elokei Avraham and the Avraham of divine consciousness. There's something special about the two letters 7 and 5, which are the two letters of the word Zeh. That 5 squared is the middle point of 7 squared. 5 squared is 25, and 7 squared is 49. 25 is the middle point of 49. When does this phenomenon appear again? With one number, the square of A will be the middle point of the square of B. The next time it appears is 29 and 41. 29 squared is 841. 41 squared is 1681. So clearly, 29 squared is the middle point of 41 squared. When will it appear after that? Will appear the two numbers 169 and 239. 169 squared is the middle point of 239 squared. What about the next time? The next time is 985 and 1393. Is there a pair before 5 and 7? So there's an obvious arbitrary pair, more or less, which is 1 and 1. 1 squared is 1, and 1 squared is 1, and 1 is the middle point of 1. So actually, the series begins from 1 and 1, and then Zeh, 5 and 7. 1 and 1 equals 2. The difference between 5 and 7 is 2. 5 and 7 equals 12. The difference between 29 and 41 is 12. 169 and 239 equals 408. And the difference between the two is between 169 and 239 is 70, which is 29 and 41. So there are very, very beautiful phenomena about these pairs. Is there some mathematical way to predict the pairs? So there is. This is a very sophisticated type of formula. Which is based upon a theory which is called, or a formula which is called Pell's formula. And usually it's studied in what's called meta-mathematics. So recursive is a form of a very beautiful recursive function. That one of the ways to derive the function is that each number you multiply with 6 and then you subtract the number in the series before it. And if I have 5 and I want to know the next number after 5, I say 6 times 5 is 30. Minus 1, which was the number before the 5, I have 29. And so forth. Why are we going into this? Because in this series we see that Zeh gives rise to Zot. The beautiful mathematical phenomenon. It's 5 and 7 is Zeh. As we just mentioned before, 169 and 239 is Zot. So in the very same series, you have Zeh, and you skip over one pair, which equals 70 together. The number which is between Zeh and Zod is 70, which is 29 and 41. So we have 12, 70, 408. Zeh and Zod with a 70, which is actually the 70 souls of the descendants of Jacob that went down into Mitzrayim. Between this and this the male this and this the female this. And so how did we come to all of this? Because of those two words, Bi Chashak. All of this passion is in me. What happens if I take these two numbers, 2 and 10, and make an additive series of them? Just like the Fibonacci series. So 2 plus 10 equals 12. 10 plus 12 is 22. 12 plus 22 is 34. 22 and 34 is 56. Then comes 90. Then comes 146. Then comes 236. Then comes 382. Then comes 618. And then comes 1,000. Then comes 1,608. But those are exactly that's the alpha, that's the basis of the golden section. And there's something about B, about this word, these two numbers, 2 and 10, both of which are double inspirational numbers. Actually, the first two double inspirational numbers. The first two inspirational numbers are 1 and 5, and when you double them, so it's 2 and 10. 2 and 10 is like the two tablets of the covenant, upon which were engraved 10 commandments. And from those two numbers comes out the golden ratio, which is 618, 1,000, 1,618. So again, there couldn't be anything more beautiful. What is B'Tzedek Elokim, the God created man, B'Tzedek Elokim? At the lower level, what that means is the golden ratio in the body, in the physical body of man. That more than any other creature are also very beautiful, lions and tigers. But nonetheless, there's something unique about man, that there is more golden ratio in the body of man than any other physical creature. This is the beauty of art. As the great artists of all times have known. That's coming from B, from within me. And so it all comes from these two numbers, Bet and Yud, 2 and 10. That's where the golden ratio derives from. Even though the ratio between 2 and 10 is not a golden proportion. But it gives rise, it generates that additive series which gives the golden ratio more than any other series. So that's also a very, very essential part about our Bi Chashak. What is the golden ratio? It's that ratio that the eye of man, the Mishpat, with the eye of Shabbat, has instinctive, innate passion towards. It's the essence of the ascetic principle of the psyche of man that is known universally. So that comes from these two numbers, 2, 10. So now we've seen many, a whole spectrum of phenomena that have to do with the number of the limbs of the body and the positive commandments of the two, and perhaps the elementary particles of the universe. And as we said before, even this comes out not to be the elementary particles, certainly something else about the whole universe. Because the universe itself is called Adam Gadol, a great man. It's another very important thing about Abraham. In the book of Joshua, Abraham is referred to Ha'adam HaGadol Ba'anakim. He's the man who is the greatest, the biggest, more than all the giants of creation. So to be Ha'adam HaGadol Ba'anakim means that he has to be more universal than any other figure and character in the Torah. Because the universe itself is called Adam Gadol, just like man is called Olam Katan. Each one reflects the other, the macrocosm and the microcosm. In this case, the microcosm is just this little man versus the whole universe. So man is referred to as Olam Katan, the small universe, the miniature, the micro-universe. And the universe is referred to as macro man. And the one person who is referred to explicitly as the great man, Adam HaGadol Ba'anakim, is Abraham. And even in Kabbalah, a synonym for chesed, for his essential attribute of kindness, is Kedusha, greatness. Because it is all-encompassing of all of the universe, all the greatness of the universe. Adam HaGadol Ba'anakim, that's Abraham of the 48. So with this we'll conclude the first part of our talk about the Yomach and Abraham and the Tzedem Elokim, and Mitzvah Hashem will have more to think of in the future.